Hey, welcome to the Push-Pull Sales and Marketing Podcast. I'm Marcello.
And I'm Sherry, and each episode will provide you with sales and marketing strategies that you can implement immediately into your own business. Today, we're going to be talking about getting to the point. So this will be a short episode, right?
Yep, very short. Quick tip, you want to get to the point very quickly in your emails and your sales and everything you do. So, yep, that's pretty much it for today.
All right, hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll talk to you guys next time.
But in all seriousness, we do want to talk about some ways that you can actually convert sales faster in terms of making your communications simpler, especially nowadays. If you look, people's attention span is shorter and shorter. Some of the most popular social media sites and how they became popular. Instagram video, you only have so much time you could put in a video.
Right. And
Vine.
Things like BuzzFeed and, Tumblr and Reddit, it's kind of like snippets of information.
Yep.
And a lot of people, I feel like, have the misconception that the longer the book, the longer the essay, the more words in something means that it's more valuable. And that's really not the case anymore. Time is one of the most valuable assets for people. And especially, in the sales and marketing realm, there's a million things we could be doing at any given moment. So if we think that a piece of content is valuable enough for us to consume, it becomes even more valuable if it only takes 2 minutes of our time instead of 20 minutes of our time. I was listening to an interview with Seth Godin, a prominent blogger, and he said that he reads tons and tons of books. I forget the number in particular, but he said, I read them until I get the joke, and then I move on to the next one. And what he meant by that was, he reads it until he gets the gist of it, and he moves on to the next one. And to him, it's worthwhile. Why would you finish a book, finish an article, even finish a course or a presentation if you already understand what they're trying to tell you? You don't need 15 more examples to tell you the same thing. Get to the point.
Absolutely, and it's definitely it's hard for salespeople too, because they know so much about their product, they know so much about their service, and they have a million reasons why the customer might want to buy that.
Right. And if the customer's not jumping to hand over their money, your instinct is probably to, well, maybe you just don't understand. Maybe I need to give another example. Maybe I need to talk longer. Maybe I need to come back and give a longer presentation. Yep.
And one thing too, and you can, in terms of getting to the point, sometimes you might have a customer who's sold already, and people are just so, and we talked about doing presentations. They have it all prepped and they have everything ready to go, and maybe someone was sold based off of someone else's recommendation. Maybe they're like, it's time for a change. You're here now. Let's go ahead and do this.
Right, because sometimes it's more valuable to them to make the change, try it out, and either know that it works or fails than to waste the time thinking about it. Yep.
So we can talk about, and we can cover this too in some other podcast, more so in terms of a retail transaction. Those transactions are very, very quick. If you go and you want something and it matches, or if you're thinking about something and the sales rep's nice, sales rep. I was going to say salesman, sales rep. I said the appropriate term. You're just going to buy it really, really quickly. For example, if you're going to buy a wallet, and you say, I just need a trifold wallet. I'd like something leather, and the seller's like, well, actually, this one's really nice. You're a salesperson. This is going to look really nice. When you go out to pay, it's not going to be one of them cheap Velcro wallets, because you're going to look ridiculous like that. Anyway, it's $30. I can ring you up now. It comes with a nice box, and if you open up a credit card, you'll get 5% off. Very quick, very to the point.
Right. And I feel like today when people, whether it's a retail environment or if you're buying more expensive services or whatever it is, I feel like people are doing all of their research before they actually go in to buy something or before they have that visit. I mean, we did that. We were buying a minivan. We knew exactly what we wanted. We test drove one car just to do it. But there wasn't, talking to different dealerships. Marcello, of course, called around to get the best deal. But when we went in, we knew what we wanted and we were ready to buy it. And which we got to the point,
yeah, and that guy, I mean, he was very good. He got to the point. He got what we wanted. He was doing 3 or 4 deals at the same time, basically.
Right.
Signing paperwork. One little tidbit of advice: when you are very quick to do the presentation and you're quick to get to the point. That doesn't necessarily mean that you skip the basic steps in the beginning. There's still a warm up. You still have time for a rapport, even if it's someone who you already have rapport with. There are not many negotiations. There's not many sales presentations that will start and end very well where you just dive right into the pitch. You do need that time for pleasantry, even in a normal scenario. You say, "Hey, how's your day going?" Stuff like that. You say that to your wife.
I think we talked about that a little bit on the last podcast too, in that sense that, get a feel for the room, kind of take their lead. Don't just walk in and throw down and be all business, have the conversations, warm up to them. And you said you don't do that to your wife. I feel like I do that to you sometimes. When you walk in the door, it's not, "Hi, how was your day?" It's, "Here are the kids. I got to go get some work done."
Exactly. You don't really
you don't want to do that to your customers.
But you don't necessarily. You're not selling me on anything. It's something I'm pretty much I'm going to do
you're
anyway.
On board, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on board. Now, part of that, in terms of getting to the point right away, you need to establish all and we talked about this before. All your unique value propositions. You need to establish those right away. And you need to know beforehand which one is going to be, or which 3, I would say at most, are most applicable to your customer.
Yeah, not to keep interrupting you, but it's definitely about prioritizing what's going to be the best information, what presents it, in the best light, but what your customer cares about. So when I was trying to come up with a sales page, the landing page for Mom Blog Academy, there were so many things that I could have said about this course, and I really had to parse it down and get the point across quickly. And what's
good word.
And what's going to matter most to my particular audience, not to other people. If you go back and listen to the one about finding your target audience that we did, it's a crucial part in this. And assuming you've done your research and done everything up front, you should have been able to make your message really concise, and you're relaying the most important information, and it's okay to leave out the rest. You can always touch back later.
Yeah, and some of the best presentations and some of the best messages gets the customer to come back and say, "Okay, well, how exactly do you do that? Tell me more." You don't necessarily need to go into that right off the bat in every single thing that you can do. If they offer up, more information and they want that, you can.
Right. But you don't want to drone on
absolutely not,
and have them maybe tune out, or maybe it's something that's over their head. For me, if I'm not ready to, if you haven't sold me on the basics, I don't want to listen to the next step. I'm not going to remember it. You're just going to have to repeat it once I get there. Mm-hmm. And you've probably, I don't know, you probably haven't done it because, you're the perfect salesperson. But I'm sure you've seen people, get ahead of themselves a little bit, and it doesn't do anybody any favors.
Yeah, in that aspect, when you say get ahead of yourself, what do you exactly mean? So
let's say you're going in to introduce kind of the beginning stage of the concept to your customer. This is what we do, here's how we can help you. But you, before getting a response from them, or right then and there, you're like, and then if you guys decide to use us, or when you guys decide to use our services, here's what the setup process looks like, and here's, XYZ further down the line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. In terms of that, and talking, and it's kind of hard because you do want to find a balance. A real estate person can say, "Oh, you're going to love this living room," and when you're lighting up the fireplace. You're going to love that. But there are times in the past where I have done that.
But the realtor is not, when he's showing me a house, he's not telling me before I ask for it or before I say I love that house, he's not telling me, here's how you get the loan, here's, how we're going to close the deal, and here's some moving companies that you can call.
Correct. Yeah, you don't want to jump into pretty much the close, and we can do a lot of scenarios in terms of closes. And this is something I work a lot with. I work this with new salespeople. We're also we're also working with a new lead gen company. And in terms of honing the message and making it get to the point right away and get someone on the phone, a lot of that comes across in terms of how you sound and your actual tonality. So if you sound confident, and you say, Hey, how you doing? This is Joe. I'm calling from ABC. Hey, okay, very good. Hey, really quick, the reason for the call is this. I worked with another company down the road. We helped put in their driveway. I noticed in your side too, it looks like you had a little bit of damage, from the years and the storm and stuff like that. Just wanted to swing by and leave you with an estimate, something like that. You get to the point right away. It's a very, very, very powerful. It's a very powerful presentation when you know what you're talking about, and you can get to the benefit right away. So in terms of messaging and stuff like that, you want to condense things. You want to eliminate what's not relevant. So, hey, we've been in business for over 30 years. We're the leading mid-tier whatever. It's not going to work well if you're just dump data on the customer. Mm-hmm. So basically, and we talked about this in another one too. When you're doing the initial cold call to get a hold of the customer, you have to have your elevator pitch down. Your elevator pitch 30 seconds or less. And in all fairness, you should be able to say what you do in maybe 25 words or less. Mm-hmm. So if you can narrow it down there, you're going to be off to a good start. In terms of your message, if you can basically sum up your whole presentation in maybe 2 or 3 sentences, it's going to be very, very powerful. So, for example, I presented with another client the other day, and basically we had 3 strong selling points. I can save you about 16% in terms of your hard dollar savings right off the bat. The companies that you are currently working with that are helping you in terms of your vendors and stuff like that, my company already does business with. Lastly, the person that is going to take care of your account is solely dedicated to you, and all that person knows is your product. So you're going to save money. It's not going to be a hard change for you, and the person that you're working with is an expert in their field. Mm-hmm. Sign here, sign here.
Right. And I think it helps you, as you're going in for a presentation, to have that focus as well, and to set that precedence of here's what we're going to talk about. It keeps you focused. It gives the client an understanding of what's going to be going on. Just like if I go to write a blog post or an article or a brochure or whatever it is, typically you jot out the outline, and then you can fill in as much as you have time or space for. But it really takes a full understanding of the product, the service, the point that you're trying to get across to be able to outline it in a clear and concise way. Martel's taking a drink, so I was seeing if I could come up with something else to say.
That's funny. Actually, and in terms of our topic today, and it's very timely. We have a new sponsor for the show. It's a service. It's a nice app. It's called Blinkist. And let me tell you, they do amazing work. And if you're in sales, if you're in management, if you're the owner of a company or anything like that, their service is amazing. So she talked about Seth Godin and how he reads all these books, and he stops.
He needs this service.
He needs this service. As soon as the book gets to the point, he stops reading. What Blinkist does for you is they actually distill, and these are good books. It's not just like,
right,
all right,
books you wouldn't read typically. It's
books you would read typically.
That's what I'm saying. It's not books that you wouldn't.
Oh,
read.
Okay, it's not books.
Yeah.
It's not gonna give you a 15-minute basically SparkNotes version of what happened in Twilight. It will give you a 15-minute overview of Pitch Anything.
Mm-hmm.
Or
so
of
now
the book Flow.
Are they giving you a document that's like a 15-minute read?
Exactly.
Okay.
And sometimes it's even quicker. So it just gets to the point. It has an outline. It has everything done right away. And if you're even lazier, they have a higher level version. They have a premium. They have a plus, and they have a premium version. The actual plus version, you can go through and you can sort pretty much any book in the catalog. You can have everything saved. The premium version will actually read the notes to you. So if you're in the car, you can have a quick 15-minute read. If you have a commute to work, it can give you the whole overview if you don't even have time to actually read the thing.
How many books do you think you've read through Blinkist?
On Blinkist, I try to read at least 5 books a week through Blinkist.
Right, and that wouldn't be possible. I mean, 15 minutes a day, each workday, is totally doable.
Absolutely.
Over your lunch break or, before you go to bed. But, you're not going to read a whole book beginning to end. It's getting to the point. And if you guys are interested in checking out Blinkist, we are offering a 30-day free trial with them as an affiliate. You can go to pushpullsales.com/quickread. No spaces or anything special in between it. And if you go to this episode's show notes, which are also at pushpullsales.com, I'll link over to that as well. But pushpullsales.com/quickread.
Yep. Really good service. Again, check out the website. And in terms of anything that any of our sponsors, anything that we actually recommend, it's a service that we personally have used, or a service that has our quote unquote rubber stamp of approval.
Yeah.
But for the busy salesperson, busy manager, great service. Anyways, in terms of getting to the point right away, there's different areas in terms of sales where you can get to the point right away. So when you're trying to get to a customer, and let's say you send an initial marketing email, it doesn't make sense to have a really long worded email. Everybody knows it, but what are some ways where you can...
I have gotten so many long emails lately. I don't know what's going on. Like, everyone's back into email marketing, which is fine. I think that's a good thing. Having that control over your email list, but they're sending these forever long emails. As soon as I open it up, I'm gone. Like, I don't have the time to read it. I don't feel like reading it, when really maybe they just had one point they needed to get across. Whereas other emails I'll open up and maybe it'll only be one sentence on each line, like really broken up with, in that quick snippet that it seems a lot less overwhelming, and that I could absorb the information quickly. I can click through to their website quickly. I know what they want me to do, and they're just telling me to do it.
Yep. That's and in terms of, you mentioned the actual links to the website. That's a great way to shorten your emails.
Right.
You can easily
read more here.
Yeah, read more here. You can go about a certain service. You don't need to kind of and there are great email trackers or software and stuff like that where you can see when someone actually clicked it and say, you know what, people
or do some A/B testing and see for yourself which will work better.
You can see which ones open more. You can see which one actually has the links that people are looking for. So in terms of shortening your message, you can see, okay, hey, people seem to click the link about, or people hover over actual software. They don't really care so much about the savings, but ease of use is more important to them.
Right.
So when you get to your presentations, you get a feel for what your customers normally want.
Which could be even important if that particular example was the case, where they care more about ease of use than they do about price. Maybe you can up your prices.
Yeah, absolutely. You can make some more money that way. And we can talk about pricing strategies and negotiations and stuff along those lines. So in terms of emails, you want to have a fairly short subject right off the bat. If it's super duper long and it's really complicated, people are not going to read that. And actually, I find this pretty funny. We talked about an elevator pitch. At one point, I went to a networking group. And I met a gentleman there, and basically kind of explained what you do. So I explained what my company does. Everyone else, I kind of got the gist of it right away. Their thing was something interpersonal communications, and his whole company which floors me, was about helping people with their elevator pitch and helping them with their messages. And his initial message, I did not get.
Right. Well, and we're avid Shark Tank fans, and there are times where they'll see, somebody comes in and they're like, it was too confusing. You were all over the place. You didn't get to the point quick enough. And, they're not willing to invest in someone that isn't clear enough on their idea and what they're pitching and what they're selling.
Yep.
You lose credibility if you're not able to get your point across quickly.
And that's 100% right. And in terms of Shark Tank, that was a confusing message and stuff like that. People forget, if you remember back in high school when you had public speaking class. Now Sherry, she was homeschooled for a while, so I'm not sure if she actually.
I didn't have it in high school. I did have to take it in college.
Okay, that's good. You had to take it in college, didn't necessarily, because I guess public speaking at home is in homeschool, just like arguing with your mom and dad.
I did presentations for my co-op group.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go off on a whole tangent about that. But if you remember public speaking class, they talked about some of the best ways to give a presentation. If you start with a question, okay, hey, have you ever whatever, or you give an interesting fact, or you do a mini drama.
Story.
You can mini drama, not
a story. That's what I mean. Like, could be a story.
It could be a story, but like Shark Tank's like, picture this: you're Sue, and then you have someone actually walk in and pretend to be Sue and stuff like that.
Right.
So you want to take into account some of those things in the very beginning. Get their attention right away. Some great ways to do that and to shorten and to get to the point are to have really, really strong visuals. In a previous podcast, we talked about a great presentation, and you told me about it, called Pic2Chart or Pictochart. Mm-hmm. .com. The days of...
We linked to it in episode 18.
Yeah, the episode 18. Perfect. And the whole days of 60 slide PowerPoint, stuff like that, it's over. People do not have time for that. Infographics are great. Mm-hmm. If you can explain it in as few as pages as possible, you can always expand and provide supplemental information. So when you're actually, what we're talking about is getting to the point right away. So in your emails, get to the point right away. You want a meeting with the customer. You already spoke with them in the past. Say, hey, real quick, the reason why I'm calling, or the reason why I called you today is because I wanted to set up a meeting. We help out clients with this. Mm-hmm. How's your schedule look this day? Mm-hmm. When you have a third party, or you have a sales manager, you have another coworker following up on a lead that might be cold, you're going to do the same thing. Say, hey, really quick, do you have a couple minutes? Or do you have a minute? Yeah, I got a minute. What's up? The reason for my call is I want to find out how come we haven't done business with you yet. Mm-hmm. Okay, real quick and to the point. So you don't want to mess around and stuff like that. Say, hey, yeah. You can get to the point right away. When you're in a closing situation, very similar too. If you've done the work and it makes sense and everything comes through, closing is a very, very natural process. Yeah. You don't necessarily need to beat around the bush, and you can get to the point.
You don't want to raise more questions at that point either. If they're ready to buy,
yep,
they should be ready to buy.
Just
don't get in your own way.
Sign here. So in terms of practical ways that you can actually do that, we talked about being able to explain what you can do in 25 words or less, how you help out customers. Your email subject line, short as possible. Work with your marketing team. Have links to certain websites and certain services. You don't need to send them If I see something that's like 5 megabytes, I'm not opening this. It's not gonna happen. If I see a long email, I'm not gonna read that. If someone goes on and on and on about like what they do and they kind of beat around the bush, like someone reached out to me on LinkedIn, and
if it's that complicated, are you really like it just raises some red flags as soon as someone starts giving a lengthy, generalized description of what they do.
Yeah, and you can have a conversation back. It was
not
high.
Conversation. Yeah.
It was like 3 pages of text, and then I think this would be good for you. And me being a sales manager, I sent that person. I was like, hey, by the way, your LinkedIn profile has a typo. I think you meant to say here, HEAR, not here like HERE. Second, can you just send me a link because I don't understand what you're actually talking. And the link said something like, oh, that makes sense.
Right.
Why couldn't you have explained that right away? The only caveat there is you don't want to make it so simple where it's I think Einstein says you want to make things simple, but you don't want to make them too simple. Like it's really a science. Like,
is that a real Einstein quote?
I
Are
think
you just like making things up, like all of the internet?
Yeah, no, I might be passing on bad information.
There's a lot of funny memes going around that have those that are like fake quotes.
Yep.
Like the Wi-Fi's down, Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, that's,
like stupid stuff.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. In terms of the words that you use, don't use jargon. Don't use technical language. You want to have that eliminated right off the bat. You want to basically be able to, in terms of your message and keeping it simple and to the point, if you can explain to a 13-year-old boy or girl what you do or how you help people, you're gonna go really far. You're gonna be phenomenal if you can explain it to a 5 or to a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
So in terms of...
And having a 5-year-old, I think, helps us with that. It helps me with my messaging, and it helps your brain think that way. Like, if he asks me a question that's something that seems complex, I have to come up with an answer that he can understand. And sometimes, I surprise myself or... that complex concepts can be boiled down to, kind of some simple basics.
Basic math. If you just have the numbers down pat, a solid visual, and you have a good ROI, the ROI it might be enough. So, in terms of getting to the point right away, lead with the actual benefit. So in terms of, and we're going to talk about this in another podcast too, and I find this very interesting, how different sales presentations have evolved over time. The whole FAB model, feature, advantage, benefit, or the
so you don't
is,
you
does,
want to
means.
lead with the benefit now.
You want to lead with the benefit, exactly. So for example, you lead with the benefit to get someone's interest, and you also lead with the benefit to close them. And then when they're actually being closed or when they're actually signing on the dotted line, then you can justify with more of the facts and more of the figures. I can tell you, it sounds crazy, especially when you're so set in a longer presentation, a longer cycle. Work on shortening it. When I worked for a home improvement company, we were pretty much very, very linear sales process. We had a 10-step sales process. On average, it took 2 hours. No one was really allowed to deviate except one person, and this person closed deals in 30-45 minutes. Everyone else was 2 hours, and he was able to get cash, or he was able to get 60-90 days same as cash. And that came a lot with in terms of conviction. He was older, so he can convey that to you, like, look, you don't want to use my financing. Your bank's going to be able to get a better deal. How about this? I'll write you up 30 days, same as cash. You go to your bank, you pay this off, everything's good. And I'm just going to prove this to you real quick. He had like we were selling windows. He had a special like gun that would show how much heat was transferring, and he'd cut to the point right away. He's like, all right, check this out. Here's your window. So you see this? You feel how much heat's coming through?
Yeah,
great.
No gimmicks, just
kind of
was a benefit.
Yeah. He got to the gimmick right away. Meanwhile, in our presentation, that was part of it. He got created by the actual heat gun, where people can read the number.
Get lost then in a longer presentation. The point that you were trying to get across can get lost in the muddle of all the fluff that you're adding around it.
Absolutely, and that's one thing when we did a couple different sales trainings I've been through. But if I read off 10 words, you're going to remember the first word, you're going to remember some of the middle words, you're going to remember the last one. No one fully recalled 10 out of 10 within 30 seconds, or it was like a minute. You think you remember a lot, but you really don't. So in terms of your presentation, lead right away, get to the point with the actual benefit. If they're already sold, go for the kill. Close it. If they want additional information,
they'll ask for it.
They're going to ask for it. When you're actually closing, it's a logical process. You shouldn't be afraid to ask for people to sign. For example, when we were buying a car, that person, he avoided a basic step. We did the whole test drive and stuff like that. And okay, how about you go see these other people? Why he didn't ask me? He's like, so, do you want to buy a Toyota? I mean, or as hypothetical, if you were to purchase a vehicle today, if you had to, what would you end up leaning toward? He didn't say that. What are you doing?
I'm Snapchatting. Continue.
Okay. Yeah. So right now she's taking a short, brief video, and she's getting to the point. I guess she's telling me it's time to wrap it up.
Go ahead. Anything else you want to tell us?
About getting to the point? No, I was wrapping up. Wanted to give another shout out to our sponsor. If you go to pushpullsales.com/quick read, you can sign up for Blinkist. Basically, any good marketing, any good sales book, any good personal development book, you can have the whole gist of the book in 15 minutes or less. So it says 15-minute read. A lot of them are actually quicker than that. Your sales presentations need to be the same way. Get to the point right away. If you can explain, and even something complex, software, chemical, a new process, a new machinery, something outsourcing, payroll, or anything like that, if you can get to the point right away and explain 15 minutes or less, you're going to be in a real good boat. When you're trying to cold call someone, if you can get to the point in 5 seconds or less, if you can establish that, people on the phone are very, very quick to cut people off. You don't have a lot of time. Face to face, in terms of your impression appearance, it's even shorter. You have like 1 or 2 seconds before someone makes a snap judgment. Closing, go for it right. You want to go for it right away. If in the beginning they're sold, you don't need to go into a long presentation. If you've done a good presentation and they're pretty much sold, don't beat around the bush. Say, hey, it seems like it makes sense. Can you sign here? Mm-hmm. And we can talk about closing and some more complex things and how we're not living in a perfect ideal world where everything is quick. Sometimes it's a long, drawn out process. But if you want to be more successful, focus on making your message as simple as possible in your emails, in your cold calls, in your presentations, in your actual closing. You don't want to be like, well, if you kind of weigh out all the pros and cons and, no, and you go on this whole tangent, it's not going to work. Don't use jargon. So to the point really quickly, in 1 minute or less, I basically explained everything about what we were looking to accomplish today. In Blinkist.com, explain what they do in 1 minute or less. They basically boiled down books in 15 minutes or less. It's a great service. If you can get that done very quickly, you're going to be a lot more successful.
Phew. All right, I think that wraps things up for the week. What do you think?
Think so.
Thank you to bensound.com for our intro and outro music, and thanks to you guys for listening. You can tune in next time where we'll tackle another topic, so make sure that you subscribe to us on iTunes so that you don't miss that, and encourage your friends to check it out too. If you have any questions or feedback on today's episode or any of the other ones, you can head to pushpullsales.com or tweet us at pushpullsales. And, of course, like Marcella said, don't forget to check out Blinkist at pushpullsales.com/quickread. We'll talk to you guys soon.
See ya.